Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DEWETRON webinar. I just want to welcome everybody for joining us today. Introduce myself. My name is Kevin. I'm one of the inside sales engineers here in the US. And Christoph is joining me as well. Good morning, Christoph.
Good morning.
So to start off for today, our major news is the release of Oxygen 7.0. So we have a lot of new features to add, some bug fixes, and we're going to get that rolling in a few minutes here. First off, I just wanted to bring your attention to the little sidebar here. If you have any questions during the webinar, you're welcome to drop us a line. We'll try to address it here in the webinar. If not, we can respond to you afterwards if it's something more specific. As well, there's the list of handouts. There's a couple of links for downloading some information that we're going to be talking about today if you guys want to gain anything more. Additionally, on the page right now, you can see the QR code. That's going to be a link to our social media if you'd like to follow us on there. And right now in the chat, I'm actually going to put a link to our beginner guide of Oxygen software. So those of you that are newer to the software or newer to DEWETRON, you guys can watch that. It's a great introduction, shows you some of the basic features and how to navigate around. The Oxygen, we do have the demo available, the demo software available online for a free download. You just use signals that are generated through the computer, allows you to play around with it, but it doesn't allow you to do any actual testing. For that, you do need to get a licensed copy. But to start off here, I do want to also bring attention to one of our newer product launches, the Next Stack. So that's something that is going to be loaded with Oxygen 7.0, and it's one of our great new front-end DAC systems. It's 8-channel inputs, very ruggedized, great for on-the-go, in-vehicle testing, or some of those more extreme environments. But just to kind of get us started off here with the 7.0, I just want to bring up some of the new features. One of the biggest ones that we have is the Modal Test. So that's been a really high demand ask for a lot of our users, and now we're able to offer that to you. Some of the other topics that we're going to cover today is the saturation meter upgrades, some of the new features with the TEDS chips, power analysis, screen templates, and much more. So we're going to kind of dive into that. Christoph, I believe you have a video for us starting off here.
Yeah, so we have a video detailing the modal testing, the new feature that we've implemented in Oxygen 7.0. It's going to be done by Raphael, our team product manager. And here is the presentation.
Hi, my name is Raphael Ludwig and I am product manager at DEWETRON. With the new released version 7.0 of our measurement software Oxygen, we publish a completely new option for modal testing. Today we are here at the headquarters of our partner Tectos because we would like to introduce you into the technical functionality of this new calculation module. The testbed behind me will act as our device under test today, and we will excite the system with this modal hammer and measure the response signals at several positions with some accelerometers. The Next Stack front end that you can see here will act as our data acquisition system today to capture the signals of the sensors. For our demonstration today, we will analyze the frequency characteristics of this damping element. Therefore, we will excite the system at 2 different positions. and measure the response signal with one sensor in 3 directions that is put to 2 different locations. Next, we open the oxygen measurement software and go to the channel list. The input channels to which the sensors are connected are already set up properly. The modal test group can now be created. Now, let's start with the configuration of our modal test setup. If you have a geometry file in UFF format, you can import it here. For our demonstration today, we don't have one available, so we just define the number of excitation and response points. For our demonstration, we want to excite at 2 positions and measure the response at 2 positions. This means we have a total of 4 different positions that we can see here and edit the spatial direction if necessary. After this, we assign our hardware input channels to the respective measurement points. As we want to measure with one sensor at 2 positions, the individual transfer functions must be measured one after the other. In total, we therefore see 4 measurement groups here. As a last step, we configure the trigger, FFT and FRF settings. We will excite each group 3 times and calculate the mean average as a result. The trigger level will be set to 1000 Newton. Also, the number of samples is defined and the upper cutoff frequency up to which the transmission frequency is measured is set. Under FRF type, you can choose between 5 different algorithms that optimize the measurement of noisy input and output signals. You can perform test strokes to check the plausibility of the settings. You can see the stroke data directly in the graphs on the right-hand side. If the trigger level, the pre-trigger time, or the data size do not fit, you can adjust them immediately and perform further test strokes if necessary. If all settings are correct, go back to the measurement screen and save the setup. We will now create the modal test screen. This provides you with a quick overview of the input signals and measurement results during the measurement. All preparations are now complete and we can start the measurement. With the modal hammer, we now excite the system with a single stroke. In the oxygen measurement software, you can now see the following data from left to right. The time course of the excitation signal, the section of the excitation signal that is used to calculate the transfer function, the power spectral density of the excitation signal, the time course of the response signals, the time segment of the response signals used to calculate the transfer functions, and their power spectral density. Below this is the averaged amplitude transfer function of the current measurement group, and below you can see the phase progression of the transfer function and the coherence of the individual strokes on the bottom. If a stroke is not correct, you have the option of deleting the last one. The first measurement group is now complete and we start to excite the system at the second point. We will now move the accelerometer to the second response position. We have now completed all measurement groups and can therefore stop the measurement. To view the measurements, we open the data file that has just been recorded. Oxygen offers you various options for working with the data. For example, you can switch between the individual measurement groups. You can also see the data of the single strokes and switch back and forth between them. You can also show and hide individual transmission paths. In the end, you can export all measured signals to the UFF format and continue with them working externally. Once you are finished with reviewing your data, you can go back to the live mode and start a new measurement. We hope that you got an impression about the capabilities of our new modal test option. With the upcoming oxygen releases, we will continuously add improvements. To stay up to date, subscribe to our newsletter or visit our blog under dewetron.com/news.
Okay, that was a great video, guys, showing the capabilities of the modal testing. Christoph, can you tell us a little bit more, go into some detail here?
Yeah, so the key points from that video were just to kind of show the capabilities of what we have with the modal testing now in Oxygen. As Rafael said, that there's calculation of complex transfer functions, coherence of several hits, and mode indicator functions. Various interactive visualization options, as you had seen. We populate the screens for you. You just kind of put in the channels and signals necessary, and Oxygen takes care of the rest. Data export into UFF and other formats for third-party external use so that you can further analyze your data. Besides the functionality, the focus of the modal test is to be a quick and easy setup of measurement on the clear, intuitive workflow. So there's not much you have to worry about in the sense of setting up. We just want to get you to get your measurements as quick as possible. Please note, though, that this will require an additional license to use this feature. And if you would like more information, we do have the modal test product presentation in details. I believe it's somewhere in one of the handouts.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Christoph. And for those of you that are current customers, feel free to reach out to your regional manager. You could also reach out to myself, and I can further your inquiry to the respective product manager. So moving along here, one of our other new features in the Oxygen 7.0 is the saturation meter updates. What's going on with that, Christoph?
Yeah, so we do have a new instrument, the saturation meter, as you had just mentioned. It can be found right in the instrument tabs under meters right here. What this is going to do, it's actually going to show the max saturation since acquisition start of the analog channel. It shows saturation of all analog channels per default, or you can set it up to show specific channels as well. The update rate is tied to the trigger statistics window, and you can also define the colors in the dependency of the engineering unit. So right now I have my current measurement set for green, but if I were to go to instrument properties right over here for the engineering unit, I can go ahead and change this, as well as set the mode from min and max to 0 to max since acquisition start.
Okay, very good. Moving along here, another update that we have with the 7.0 is the ability to edit TEDS chips. So Christoph, can you tell us how do we do this?
Yeah, so you can actually set up the TEDS editor by first going to Oxygen Setup, so the little DEWETRON logo right here, going over to Advanced Settings and enabling TEDS editor right here at the bottom. This is just kind of an extra step to kind of avoid unintended misuse of the TEDS editor. But under this TEDS editor, you can have sensor-specific data can be edited, selection of the TEDS template, and manipulation of template-specific data. To get to that TEDS editor, you're going to go to your channel setup, go to wherever one of your sensors may be, enable the TEDS, and right over here you have your TEDS serial number, as well as a little table with that information, and you can further edit going to the editor tab, and it has all the sensor specific data right here.
Great, thank you very much for that, Christoph. We actually have a question in the chat here as well. So they're asking, what are some of the misuses of the TEDS chips?
So the reason we have the enable TEDS editor is to kind of avoid unintended misuse. So one of the misuse cases could be you've passed along a project to another colleague who maybe might not be as familiar with oxygen. So, they're curious, they're doing some exploring and stuff and clicking around. You don't want them accidentally changing your sensor information on the TEDS chip. If they do and you're unaware or they weren't aware that they actually did change it, your measurement recordings might be void because you're not working with the information you thought you had. So, kind of if we do want people to get familiar with oxygen and explore, but this is one of those instances where curiosity killed the cat. So
For sure, yeah, we don't want anyone potentially changing a setting that could corrupt data and really mess up some tests or give inaccurate readings to that. So thanks for some clarification on that. Moving along here, one of the other updates is the power analysis screen template. So what's new with this?
So yeah, we do have another screen template just to make everybody's life a little easier during measurement setup. You can actually create a whole power analysis screen template. You will have to have your power group created first, like I do over here. But once your power group is created, you come over to the little wand over here to add your template. You'll see power module, and you'll just go ahead and click add, and it'll create a whole power screen for you. So you have your power table right over here, your vector scopes over here, your current measurements, all your voltage measurements in a recorder over here, and then your current measurements as well, all in the click of a button. So it's one of my favorite features added.
Yeah, that's definitely a good time saver there. Being able to see all those different representations and have visual versus graphic representation. So really save some time there when you're doing your testing setups. And going along, I know we also have some triggering events now that we can do through SCPI commands. How does that work, Christoph?
Yeah, so beforehand, you would have to have your triggers set up before putting your system in another location and remoting in, whether it be in harsh conditions or you're just like somewhere else and you're remoting in. Your triggers had to be set up, but now you can the entire trigger settings can be edited and queried via SCPI. If you do need a refresher or need to know like the commands, we do have a link for you to copy right here to get a list of the commands as well as their syntax and what your options are. The only thing that's out of scope right now is you won't be able to do individual channel configuration when doing this in SCPI. That's still going to have to be done on unit.
Okay, very good. Another update that we have is the EtherCAT improvements. So some higher response times. What have we improved with the EtherCAT?
Yeah, so with EtherCAT, we've improved and done tests with two different sample rates. We have 500 samples per second and 1,000 samples per second output rate. With the 500 samples, 73% of the data arrive within 2 milliseconds. And for the 1,000 samples, 52% of the data arrive within 1 millisecond. And the max outtakes with 8 milliseconds were the same at both rates. There is a 10% jitter higher with the 1,000 samples, so the default output rate will remain at 500 samples per second, but the Oxygen EtherCAT slave reference manual will mention how to change the output rate if you wish to go with the other speed. The I/O delay specification will be reduced from typically 500 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds, and all samples arrived within 200 milliseconds with both speeds.
Okay, very good. So again, a little bit faster there. So, one of our other updates now is with the user interface. We've created a little bit more of a, I don't know, we'll say user-friendly look to it. And Christoph, can you give us some details into this?
Yeah, so with all instruments now, you're able to change the channel order via drag and drop. So if we go over to the instrument properties, and right over properties, you'll notice we have another tab under channels. So we'll go over here and we can actually drag and drop, rearrange our channels right over here. We can actually replace a channel with another channel straight from here as well. And if we deactivate a channel, Let's deactivate this channel. It will remain in instrument, and the other ones will record the signals coming in, but the deactivated channel won't, but it will remain populated.
All right, great. Yeah, it's definitely handy to swap channels on the fly there if you're dealing with a lot of different channels or want to see specific ones illustrated on the screen.
Sure, for sure.
Awesome. So we also have some updates to the default mode, if I understand correctly, right?
Yep. So the new default mode for a startup, if you do have it activated, all your analog inputs will be put into a saturation meter, and your first 8 measurements signals will be put into recorders. To set this up, we again will go to the Oxygen Setup tab under Startup Settings, and you'll just highlight Default right over here. And on the next time you start up your Oxygen software, your screen will look like this. Additionally,
Awesome.
we have a new dark mode. So again, back into Oxygen Setup, but this time under UI options, and for the color scheme of this bar, we could change it to light and dark for user preference.
Nice.
Another GUI and usability update. We have the adaptions on cursors in the recorder. We can now link our cursors. Bring up our cursors right over here. And we can link them right over here when the time axis is linked. And we also have peak-to-peak value that can be calculated in addition. To add that in, you'll go to the instrument properties, and for cursors, you can highlight peak-to-peak, as well as any of our pre-existing ones as well. To link your instruments together, you will have to have the link mode set to adjacent instruments or instruments on page. If you do independent, then it's just going to be one cursor.
Okay, very good. And we have, as you were pulling up some of those menus there, it looks like there's been some updates to the dashboard. Can you go through what we've done with the improvements there?
Yeah, so the instruments tab has gotten a little makeover. Our instruments are now broken up into groups. So we have meters, traces, spectras, auxiliary, and automotive, as well as a couple of miscellaneous stuff. We also have drop-down menus, so it's a little less cluttered. A search bar, so that you can search for specific instruments. And if you have a favorite, you can add those as well now too. Click the star button right here, and you can go ahead and highlight certain instruments. And once you're done with that, all of them will be added to the top for your convenience.
Awesome. And I see that the Oxygen viewer got a little makeover there as well. There, we have a new icon for that.
Yeah. So not all these updates are going to be big, but sometimes little things matter.
Oh yeah, definitely aesthetically pleasing there. So moving along with 7.0, we have some kind of miscellaneous updates. Can you give us a run through of those, Christoph?
Yeah, so one of the changes is going to be to the DBC file reload. Signals that are already encoded can now be re-added, and old channels will be overwritten. You also have the possibility to change channel settings in the DBC file and load the updated DBC file. Beforehand, if you wanted to add an existing channel, you couldn't be overwritten. You'd have to delete it first and then add the new channel. And we've also added a CAN error counter. So if we want to take a look at that, we can go ahead and go to our CAN channel setup. You can add your message channels here, and we have our error counter right over here as well. The next miscellaneous one was in addition to power. So you can also now inherit the sign of the fundamental reactive power to the total reactive power, as well as Flickrs has some new channels, as we can see right over here in this screenshot. One of the plugins we did add was we added a Pack Live plugin to the installer. To use this, you will need the Pack license though.
Okay. Oh, and we have another question here. Could you go in a little bit more detail what the PAX option is for those that don't know?
Yeah, so what a pack file is, it's a file format that's used to compress large files or volumes of files into a single archive, similar to zipped folders, but a little more convenient. This makes it easier to distribute the files or download files over the internet. So say you had like a huge file, this is going to compress it, or if you had 15 different ones, instead of sending 15 attachments via email, you could just use it and put it in the pack file format.
Okay, yeah. So basically, like a zip file for
Yeah.
the layman's there. Awesome. So just kind of moving along now. One of our other updates was we fixed some bugs. As our users, you guys are our greatest tool in recognizing any imperfections that we have in Oxygen, and we always appreciate that feedback. So we're always open. You can drop us a line and we'll address those needs and get you guys back up running with your testing. Christoph, what have we figured out and fixed for bugs with the 7.0 release?
Yeah, so based on feedback and testing, we fixed a couple bugs. These ones pertaining to, there was an issue where recording stop took a long time with CAN channels. Another one was calculations weren't being finished with an offline formula. Disabling the power group wouldn't disable all the channels. Offline calculation was pending on deactivated channels and the offline formula with trigger statistics as well. But these have been taken care of and shouldn't be an issue anymore. But as you said, as we put out more releases and more updates, we do value user feedback. So if you guys ever run into anything, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Great, thank you. So we mentioned that the DEWETRON Explorer has the new logo as well. What are some of the other new features that we can kind of get through here?
Yeah, so besides the new logo, we've improved the network configuration and we've added a feature so you can set the default. So you can either default to a static IP or DHCP. And we've also allowed it so that configuration can be done even if IP settings don't match on the TriNet or NextStack. For the NextStack, we've also added the CAN-FD bit timing. And for the Trion 318 18 multi-series, we had high-pass filters from 16 hertz to 100 hertz. And yeah, so we had a fix to one of the bugs where there was 64% overshoot and higher cutoff frequencies than expected, and an issue where the filter was distorting the input signal. But those have been taken care of and addressed.
Awesome. And just for those of you that aren't quite ready to jump to 7.0, we do still monitor and update some of our older software releases, including 6.7.3. Christoph, what did we fix with that version?
Yeah, so we added the Ethernet UDP sender plugin to the installer. With this feature, there is no license option necessary, so you can just go ahead and use it without having to worry about if you may or may not, or if there was going to be a charge for it. There's no charge, completely there for you to use right out the bat. We've also fixed performance issues with the digital meter on the 10 megasample systems. And there's been for the sync options, there's auto sync on the setups correctly when using the DEWE3 systems and NextStack devices.
Okay, very good. And just to kind of wrap up here, we always like to give you guys a little teaser. So with Oxygen 7.1, we're going to be having some additional information with that. Christoph, what's a quick rundown here of 7.1 outlook?
Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to. We're always looking forward to the future and stuff. So with the next release for 7.1, we have further work on the modal testing to look forward to, as well as simplified XML setups for setup creation with third-party tools. The Tryon 3 A-out math output's going to have linear operations with up to 8 analog inputs. Data stream interface going to have offline support. You'll be able to stream data from a DMD file. Reduced data export and channel sorting options for XLSX, CSV, and text files, and many more to come. So there's a lot to look forward to, even though we just had a lot to look forward to this release.
Oh yeah, keeping those guys very busy in the software development team. So we, as I said, we appreciate any feedback, any requests or features that you look to have in future updates. Please reach out and we'll see if we can get those added for you guys. Christoph, really want to appreciate your time going through all of our new releases here with 7.0. Thank you to everybody who's had attended today's seminar. Just to give you a quick reminder, if you could please do the survey at the end of our presentation here. If you'd like any additional information, there's the handouts. There's also the link to the Oxygen beginner class. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Christoph, thank you for your time again.
And no problem. Have a good day, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.